Hey everybody, Pete Nowaski here with Nowaski Extreme Performance. It is day 3 of the Slick Glide build. We got a lot of the major components together, but now some of the small tedious work happens, putting wiring harness in and switches and doing like saddlebag rails and floorboards and stuff like that. All very necessary stuff, but it doesn't look like big things are happening. And then also, you know, we try to plan ahead and know exactly what all bolts and things we need. But inevitably, during the process of this, little things change, or you realize that you use something that you had, or you need something that you don't, or whatever. So as we go building this here, you know, we'll probably change a few things as we go, right? Like, we'll put it together with the old bolts, and then we'll swap out the ARP fasteners as they come in, or just stuff like that.
What's going on, guys? This is Too Slick with Nowaski. I grabbed Nick so that we could film putting on the powder coated springs onto the shock, and I was like, let's film it close enough, you know, that you can see some detail of the shock, but not too close to tell that it's a used shock. And then I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And so I thought we should probably touch on this while we're putting this bike together. These are actually the shocks that I've been running on this bike for quite a while now. And when we build bikes here at the shop, especially for ourselves, we don't just like throw on a new set of shocks just because we have them here, and we could if we wanted to. But our goal is to really test these things out, and that's how we've gotten the suspension as good as we have, is because we've just been running them as long as we can and trying to beat on them and stuff like that. So these shocks have jumped off curbs, they've been through the dirt, they've been through hell and back, basically. I also wanted to mention too that our shaft on all of our shocks has a crotch hatch etched into it. And it's very fine, but the reason for that is so that it's self-lubricating all the time, and it keeps your seals from blowing out and then leaking oil all the time. The one thing though is that if you guys take these apart and clean them often, you know, every season or something like that, you're gonna get a lot more life out of your shock in doing that, because you don't have so much junk on your shock, because again, this shaft will stay lightly lubricated, and so it will collect dust and things like that over time. So what I use here at the shop on every order before we send anything out is just this Bel-Ray penetrating and lubricating fluid. You can find it probably at any parts store. We order it in bulk, but I know it's pretty easy to find and it works really well. I just wanted to touch on that before we put these on the bike, and yeah, I'm super excited how these turned out. And even though you won't see them, they'll be behind the bags. It's still a cool little touch, having everything match. Now we're just gonna get back on to the build.
I don't care if you're angry. I'm getting out. Now nothing ever shames me.
So for anybody that's been following along with this, my bikes always get tore down for everybody else's project. So if you remember me telling that story about my custom Springer getting tore apart when I started my shop, and now there's just a frame and a motor in the shed. Well, interestingly enough, at this very moment, I don't think any one of my bikes you could actually ride. So my buddy Rick Ward got the inverted front end off of King Nothing, and now Slick is getting the brakes and the brake lines. Apparently everybody on planet Earth is sold out of black Brembos, including us. So he's getting my titanium Brembos and my brake lines and everything, being that it all fits. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on here. I wanted to take a minute though and just talk about the brakes, because I'm getting ready to bolt them on. So come around to this side of the bike. I'm I'm ready over here. So we sell a lot of performance brake packages. 13-inch front rotors with radial calipers is kind of our MO. So these Dominator legs, when you get them set up for, order them from us set up for radial calipers, we have our own spacers that we made specifically for the Brembo calipers that perfectly space this out for the 13-inch rotors. So that's when you run the Dominator legs, you get our spacer kit and calipers. And then back here, again, we have another titanium radial Brembo, and you probably heard me talk in an earlier video. This is a mount that I designed like 5 years ago. And we're running the 11.8 inch rotor back there. So I had some custom spacers made here to accommodate this caliper on the 11.8 rotor, even because this bracket was designed for an 11.5. So I don't know, that's a lot going on, but the point is, this is a little bit oversized in the rear. I don't know how much it helps on the street, but for racing, it helped, and for stunt riding for slick, it helped.
I'm getting out, now nothing ever shames me. I'm going out, I don't care if you're angry. I'm holding out, not getting an answer. I'm finding out, cheating gets it faster.
Hey guys, it's Jake here at Nowaski Extreme Performance. We are going to work on the wiring today and try to get some of the skid plate stuff and that Slick has been working on all finalized, so that way we are ready to go. Hopefully still on the road by the end of the week.
Can't get my head around you.
I'm down to the point where I'm ready to install the exhaust system, so I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about it. This is a full stainless pipe by SP Concepts. So I have already installed a few things that I'll go over for you. The pipe will not come with the exhaust flanges. Most pipes do not. So I've already installed those here. We are running a Thundermax ECM, so the O2 sensors are installed in the provided locations. This is a slip fit spring pipe, so basically it's a slip joint and the springs hold it together. And I've already got nuts, if you will, on the pipe and the bracket on the bike. So we are excited to try this out. This is a new pipe coming through the shop. So we are definitely gonna get it on Slick's bagger here, get it on the dyno, put it through its paces, and then he's gonna see how she works on the streets.
Like a cut, you're so like to me. No, I've really tried. I can't do any more about you.
It's getting exciting now. We got like a lot of cool kid stuff going on, right? So this here is a carbon fiber teardrop air cleaner by S&S Cycle. So we absolutely love these things on our performance builds. It is basically your standard stage 1 S&S air cleaner, but you get the teardrop, carbon fiber teardrop cover to go with it. So I've gone ahead and prepped all this for the installation, installed the proper hardware in here, and I have it configured properly. I have the right gaskets and bolts and everything laid out. So I'm just gonna pull the cover back off here and get this bolted up, and she's really starting to take shape now, so I can almost hear it running. I'm anal, so I put that down, always. All right, guys, here we are. We're getting ready to put these awesome original Garage Moto floorboards on Slick's bagger. So Slick has been riding with OG parts for a while, floorboards, pegs. You can see we already have this OG brake pedal pad mounted up on here. So he really likes these. I will say the cuts in the floorboards themselves offer a lot of traction on your shoes and boots, which I also like. When I put my foot on there, I don't want it to be slipping around and moving, and these cuts definitely keep it in place. This design, it also minimizes the size of the floorboard too. So it really just goes from mount to mount. So it's simple and clean and very effective. We also have the rear pegs going on back here. And same thing, right? Like, it's big enough for your lady's foot to be back there, and there's good traction here, so it's not sliding around and being where it shouldn't be. And then also with this particular mount, the peg rotates, so you can, as you can see, like the mounts on here, we need to rotate it, right? So I've got them all prepped, but they're loose. So when I put them on, I can figure out where they need to be and then Loctite them and snug them down. Okay, so we're installing all the OG parts on here, and Slick and I were just having a conversation about the configuration of how and why the floorboard and the brake pedal are the way they are. So I was questioning it, but Slick has filled me in as to why he wants it the way it is. So I'm gonna let him explain that quick.
Yeah, so this was my first time doing this, but what I did is I basically shortened this brake arm. Because this is an older bagger, they don't make adjustable brake arms like they do for a lot of the newer baggers. So I basically chopped this and re-welded some stuff. It was my first time doing it, and I probably ideally would have made this a little bit longer because it is like taking up a lot of your resting, like when your foot's just resting on the peg, it's taking up a lot of room. It could be a little bit farther forward, I guess, but with this being my first time, I just wanted to get this as low as possible. That way my ankle isn't, because the higher it is, then your heel comes off of the floorboard and you're basically resting your whole entire weight of your foot up on the brake pedal rather than just having your toes on the brake pedal and your heel on the floorboard. So it gives you a little bit more control. And like I've mentioned before, I've never had brakes that are gonna work this good. So I'm already worried about how touchy it's going to be, and I just wanted to be able to finesse the brakes as much as possible. So,
and to clarify, Slick, this is a stunt riding thing. The reason you're doing this is because when you're up in a 12 o'clock wheelie, that's when you want the control of the brake, not so much the riding, right?
Yeah, correct. So like you're just normal riding, it's not that big of a deal, but when you're just trying to feather the brake really lightly, it's all, how much control you have with your foot. And it's like in a car, if you slam on the gas and it's like all jerky, it's the same thing in a wheelie with the brakes, so.
got it out and put some miles on it, made some adjustments, tweaked a few things. We're ready to rock and roll. And now we're actually gonna go ride and have a little fun and debut this thing. So day 7, so what is that? Basically 6 days to build this thing from the frame up. Day 7, a little check over and now a little fun. So man, there's gonna be some awesome content built around this bike. You gotta stay tuned and follow all of our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all that, to see Slick actually putting this awesome bagger to the test.
Yeah, now I have to actually ride it. That's the scary part. So.
Awesome. So there we are, day 7, moving on.
I hear words and clips and phrases. I think sick like ginger ale. But my stomach turns and I exhale. I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhymes, but the lack thereof will make me empty inside. I would swallow my doubt, turn it inside out, find nothing but faith in nothing. I wanna put my down to